Stop pretending I belong to you. You're not my husband. You don't get to tell me where I go or who I'm with." That was the sentence. The fuse, the match casually tossed onto a gasoline-soaked rug, and it happened in my own kitchen, in my own house, a place where I used to believe peace was standard, and mutual respect wasn't a luxury. Instead, I found myself staring at my girlfriend, Alyssa, while her three best friends, a shrill little trio I privately called the Sirens, burst into laughter like they'd just witnessed peak stand-up comedy. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to Family Confessions so you never miss out on these fascinating stories. And let us know what you're watching today in the comments. They thought it was hilarious. Me standing there with a wooden spoon and simmering marinara sauce, in total confusion. They thought her line was a power move. Maybe to them it was. A declaration of independence or whatever buzzword TikTok had fed them that week. But for me, it was like the quiet click before a trap springs shut. The final clue I needed to understand what our relationship really was, at least in her mind. I'll back up a little. My name's Nathan. I'm 33, a graphic designer and proud owner of extremely boring hobbies. Frozen pizza experiments on Fridays, movie nights with exactly one friend, slow, peaceful mornings with coffee. Nothing flashy. Nothing dramatic, Alyssa? Drama was her oxygen. She lived in bright lights, loud outfits, group selfies, and the constant approval of her personal hype squad, Crystal, Lexi, and Mia. Every conversation she had with them sounded like an audition for a reality show that, thankfully, did not actually exist. We'd been together for 2 years, and for the last 6 months she'd been living in my house, a modest 2-story in a quiet American suburb, the kind of place where the loudest thing most days is a lawnmower or the mail truck. My name was on everything. Mortgage, utilities, Wi-Fi, even the little black and gold plaque outside that said the Carters, which she ordered without asking me. That plaque suddenly felt less cute and more premature, optimistic in a way I had never agreed to. So there I was, stirring pasta sauce, thinking this was going to be one of those ordinary domestic evenings. Dinner, a show, maybe talking about our week. Instead, she waltzed in wearing sparkly heels, talking into her phone like she had an audience of thousands. "Lake weekend with the girls." "No, of course he's not coming," she said, air kissing the phone speaker like she was on some red carpet. Then she hung up and flashed me a smile like she'd just won something. "Good news," she said. She was leaving the next morning, with 0 warning. No conversation, no consideration. I figured I could ask a normal question. "Which lake?" Because maybe communication still existed? Apparently not. She treated the question like I asked her to sacrifice a goat under the moonlight. The Sirens giggled, giving me the kind of look you'd give someone who still believes in dial-up internet. Then the line dropped. "Stop acting like we're married. You don't get a say in where I go or who I'm with." Cue laughter. Cue clinking bracelets, fake lashes fluttering, smug smiles. And me, still holding a spoon, watching red sauce drip onto tile. A weird calm washed over me then, like someone lowered the emotional volume knob in my head. I wasn't angry. I wasn't hurt. Something else happened instead, something quieter and far more dangerous. I finally believed her. If she wasn't interested in partnership, if my life, my home, my effort meant nothing, then I had been living in a story she wasn't even trying to read. The part of me that had been stubbornly holding the relationship together quietly stood up, dusted its seat, and walked away. I smiled at her, a calm, empty smile, and said, "You're absolutely right." My mistake, they laughed harder. She patted my cheek like I was a confused toddler, and they left in a cloud of perfume and glitter, already planning cocktails and selfie poses. The second the door closed, silence filled the house. A deep, clean silence, like a curtain dropping after a play. I stared at the pasta sauce bubbling quietly and whispered to myself, "Not married, no say." Got it. And somewhere between that whisper and the hum of the fridge, a whole new plan formed, cold, clean, and almost elegant in its simplicity. If I had no say, then neither did she. If she wasn't treating this like a shared life, then I didn't have to pretend anymore. She wanted freedom. She was about to get it, gift-wrapped, efficient, and irreversible. What followed over that weekend, the packing, the storage unit, the couch swap, the password changes, and yes, the 120-pound St. Bernard puppy, all started right there in that kitchen. But right in that moment, the only thing I felt was stillness, a quiet certainty, like I'd finally woken up after months of dreaming someone else's dream. And let me tell you, waking up never felt so good. When Alyssa's car finally disappeared down the street early Friday afternoon, glitter probably trailing behind it like pixie dust from a malfunctioning ferry, I didn't sulk. I didn't pace. I didn't rethink anything. I stood in the quiet foyer, hands in my pockets, breathing in the silence, a silence I suddenly realized I hadn't felt in months, maybe longer. Then I smiled. If she believed I wasn't her partner, if she believed I had no place in her plans or her movements, then it was time for me to live like it. Not with spite, not initially anyway. With clarity, step one wasn't emotional. It wasn't even logistical, it was theatrical. And for that I needed an ally. Our neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, lived one house over. 78 years old, retired schoolteacher. Widow with a soft laugh and a sharp memory. Her porch was a floral battlefield. Roses, violets, violets pretending to be roses. And she saw everything. This woman knew which teenagers snuck out, who overwatered their lawns, and who changed their Wi-Fi password every time they fought with their spouse. She also adored lemon cake. So I sliced a thick piece from the loaf I baked the night before and walked over, savoring the warmth of the sun, the stillness of the afternoon. When she opened the door, her face lit up like she'd just discovered a new grandchild on her doorstep. "Well now," she said, "this must be serious. You only bring cake when something big happens." I didn't deny it. We sat on her porch sipping iced tea, judging squirrels, letting the breeze fill the quiet. Then I told her everything. Word for word, tone for tone. When I repeated Alyssa's declaration, "Stop pretending like we're married. You don't get a say." Mrs. Patterson inhaled so sharply you'd think I'd told her someone poisoned the roses. "That girl," she whispered, clutching her pearls. Literally. "No manners, no gratitude. And no sense," she shook her head. "Well, what's the plan?" I gave her line, her cue, her mission. Her eyes gleamed like she was being cast in a dramatic role she'd been preparing for her whole life. "Leave it to me." "Sweetheart," she whispered, patting my hand. "I will deliver the performance of the decade." With my honorary CIA neighbor prepped, I walked home. Time to reclaim my life. Time for Operation Single Life Resurrection. I didn't trash anything. I didn't throw tantrums or break her favorite perfumes, or donate her closet to charity, though the temptation lingered. Like a hungry cat at dinner time, I boxed everything carefully, methodically, even respectfully, in a strange way. Because this wasn't punishment, it was translation. She had spoken clearly. I was just responding in the same language. Box 1, casual clothes. Box 2, dresses and heels, or as I labeled it, formal attire for events I wasn't invited to. Box 3, mysterious sparkly outfits. Glitter fallout guaranteed. Labeled caution, fairy dust, and nightclub residue. Box 4 to 9. Makeup, hair tools, skin serums worth more than my car insurance. Labeled face construction materials by Saturday morning. The house looked like a stage after closing night. Empty. Echoes instead of clutter. A blank slate. The movers arrived at 10. Professional, fast, discreet. They loaded every box into a storage unit I prepaid for 1 month. 1 month, because I may be petty, but I'm not cruel. Then came the fun part, the reclamation. Step 1, furniture, her minimalist beige couch, the one that felt like sitting on a polite suggestion, got listed online and sold within an hour. In its place, a giant black recliner sectional with cup holders, charging ports, and enough seating for 4 regular humans or 1 very large, emotionally recovering man. The neutral rug, rolled up and replaced with something undeniably bold. AstroTurf. Yes, like a mini football field. Yes, it was ridiculous. Yes, it made me grin every time I walked across it. The delicate ceramic bowls she placed everywhere like decorative landmines holding exactly nothing, replaced by 1 glorious vintage pinball machine I found on Craigslist. It didn't work. It didn't need to. It lit up. That was enough. Bedroom. Down came the macrame dreamcatcher wall thing that always looked to me like tangled fishing line. Up went a framed poster of a giant grizzly catching a salmon. Masculine? Maybe. Amusing? Absolutely. But the crown jewel, the best decision of my weekend, didn't come from furniture stores or online listings. It came from the animal shelter. I told myself I was just browsing, doing reconnaissance. But one look at Bruno, all drool, paws like oven mitts, and eyes that said I will love you more than anyone ever has and also drool on your shoes. And that was it. He lumbered toward me like a furry freight train. Sat on my foot, burped, soulmate paperwork signed, adoption complete. Bruno rode home in my passenger seat, giant head hanging out the window, tongue flapping like a happy windsock. He entered the house, sniffed the air, and immediately flopped onto the new sofa like a warlord claiming territory. Good boy. Saturday night. I sat on my football grass rug, sipping a beer straight from the bottle because I could. Bruno snoring at my feet like a chainsaw wrapped in fur, and I changed the Wi-Fi password, new network name. This isn't your Wi-Fi password. Not married lol petty. Extremely satisfying, like ice water on a summer day. Then I slept, really slept, for the first time in months, maybe years. Sunday evening. I sat on my 16-cup holder throne, Bruno snoring again, waiting for headlights in the driveway, waiting for the moment she'd come home expecting a kingdom, and find instead a new world. One she no longer belonged to. I didn't feel nervous. I didn't feel cruel. I felt free, calm, steady. She had said we weren't married. She had said I didn't get a say. Fine. But she didn't get one either. Not anymore. And I was ready to show her just how true her words could become. By the time my phone buzzed with a doorbell alert Sunday night, Bruno and I were settled into a rhythm. Him snoring like a diesel engine in sleep mode, me stretched across my recliner sofa, content and peaceful in a way I hadn't realized I'd missed. Then the camera feed popped up. Alyssa stepped onto the front porch like she was arriving at her personal palace after a royal weekend retreat. Sun-kissed, hair curled, tote bag swinging, the picture of carefree confidence. She even hummed. I felt a tiny flick of amusement. How surreal that she still believed nothing had changed. Then she pulled out her key. It slid in but didn't turn. Her expression shifted, just slightly. Confusion first, then irritation. She jiggled the key harder, like stubbornness could override hardware. When the lock refused to obey her, she rattled the doorknob, body language tightening, smile fading. I watched from the couch, silent, relaxed, one hand resting on Bruno's massive, drool-damp fur. He blinked up at the sound of her fist hitting the door and huffed, like even he could sense the theatrical storm brewing. Nathan, open the door! Bang, 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 my key isn't working. I let the phone buzz as she called, again and again. Every call declined without guilt. Not anger, not spite, just clarity. I wasn't her keeper, her chauffeur, her emotional ATM. I was simply someone she lived with until she made it clear I shouldn't consider her a partner. She'd built that boundary. I'd simply moved into the space she created. After a few minutes of futile pounding, she stepped back, hands flying into her hair, tugging at her perfect curls like reality itself had betrayed her. Right on cue, a porch light flicked on next door. Mrs. Patterson stepped outside, wearing her floral housecoat, hair tied up, watering can in hand like the world's most innocent spy. She gasped just loud enough to carry, "Oh, Alyssa, dear." "Trouble?" Alyssa spun, relief flooding her expression. "Mrs. Patterson, thank God, my key won't work." Nathan changed the lock. "He's ignoring me." And the performance began. Gentle concern layered over quiet, triumphant mischief. "Oh, sweetheart," she said, voice soft and pitying. "Of course he did. He's been transforming. Had such a lovely weekend, you know. Everything's so different now," Alyssa blinked. "Different? What do you mean?" "Well, he told me the news." Dramatic pause. "That you two aren't married. That he doesn't get a say in your life at all. So, he said, he was embracing that independence." Alyssa's jaw actually dropped. "I swear I heard it click. And the changes." Mrs. Patterson fanned herself. "Goodness. He redecorated. Such a manly place now. Alyssa stepped closer to the window, peering inside. From my vantage point, I watched her breath fog the glass, then stop abruptly when she spotted the recliner, the turf rug, the glowing pinball lights, and Bruno. Sprawled like a fluffy mountain beside me, her face twisted. "What is that?" she shouted through the glass, pointing furiously at Bruno. That was the point of no return in a single furry, drooling embodiment. Mrs. Patterson clasped her hands like she was admiring a baby. "Oh, isn't he wonderful? A big St. Bernard named Bruno. Nathan said he wanted loyal companionship and silence." She leaned in, whisper loud. "He said dogs don't talk back." Somewhere in the universe, a tiny orchestra played the theme from Poetic Justice. Alyssa made a sound, half screech, half choke, pure disbelief. She yanked out her phone and typed furiously. My phone lit up with messages in all caps. Paragraph after paragraph. "Open the door, what is wrong with you? Why is all my stuff gone? Who is that dog? We need to talk, you can't do this." I waited until the frantic texts slowed, then sent one message. Calm. Short. Precise. "You told me to stop acting like we were married. You said I don't get a say in your life, so I stopped acting like we were a couple. Your belongings are safe at 78 Storage Lane. Unit 14 code 0001. You have 1 month. Take care." Then I blocked her number. Out on the lawn. The meltdown began. She screamed. Not words, just pure frustration. A sound only summoned when life refuses to play by delusion's rules. She threw her phone, then immediately regretted it, scrambling into the grass for it while Bruno lifted his giant head, yawned, and placed a sleepy paw over his eyes like "not my circus, not my monkeys." Within 15 minutes, headlights washed over the driveway. One of the sirens had come to retrieve her, like some tragic fallen social media princess being rescued from emotional exile. I didn't watch her leave. I didn't need to. The moment she vanished, the air in my house settled again, full, warm, still, and in the quiet that followed, a strange realization settled in my chest. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't heartbroken. I was free. Over the next couple days, social media turned into the expected theater. Quotes about strong women, breaking free from toxicity, men who can't handle independent partners, all vague, all dramatic, all lacking a single ounce of accountability. I ignored it, until the moment called for symmetry. I posted 3 pictures to my private feed for mutual friends only. Before, the beige couch, the delicate decor, the sterile arrangement of small bowls and neutral blankets. After, Bruno sprawled across the new leather recliner sofa, turf rug beneath him, pinball lights blinking like Vegas on low battery. Me and Bruno, smiling, sitting together, looking genuinely at peace. Caption: redecorating after realizing I'm not married and don't have a say, embracing my freedom. No say. No stay. Your bachelor vibes. Bruno is my roommate. It hit harder than I expected. Quiet truth always does more damage than loud embellishment. Sympathy trickled away from her like water through open fingers. People saw context. They saw causality. They saw the story she tried to change, returned to her unedited, and she faded. Even her friends, piece by piece, let the drama die. One even approached me later, apologizing, embarrassed, admitting Alyssa had folded under her own entitlement. Life has a way of balancing scales when ego tips them too far. It's been weeks now. Bruno has claimed the recliner as his throne. My mornings are peaceful again. Coffee in silence, sunlight streaming through windows no longer crowded with trendy throw pillows. The house breathes. I breathe with it. And the funniest part? I didn't win anything. I didn't conquer anything. I just finally accepted what she told me and acted accordingly. Sometimes revenge isn't fire, or fury, or a dramatic speech. Sometimes it's just agreement. Simple. Bothered absolute. She said I had no say in her life, so now she has none in mine either, and I can't imagine a cleaner ending than that.